And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we battle, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here come the West Indies. I'll tell you now. Here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here come the West Indies. Special request to the Trini posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica posse?
I'm writing to the West Indies board. Now lest things really dread, it's time for all you to say goodbye. You have me holding me head. People fed up with all your man, from St. Kitts to Kayaku. What all you have there is not a board, it's sawdust and crazy glue. You have cricket in confusion, no organized approach. We mention financial statement, all you scattering like cockroach. A fella tell me in Caroni, he giving all you a PhD in Boboli. All you take a rest. You're demoralizing I and I. You make Holding and Viv Richards cry. Greenwich cut off his maroon tie. All you take a rest. The free paper bun and me ain't making fun. All you take a rest. We inherit this old boy kind of board from the colonial days. But now that we have nobody in charge, the jackass is free to graze. You're telling me to have patience, things will improve one day. But Patience and she sister Hope, they migrate to Zimbabwe. I never see a board with such confusion, so many twists and turns. You fire Lara so many times, the man have 3rd-degree burns. The word all around the neighborhood, Bishop coming to abuse you good, Tony Kosher coming with piece of wood. Or you take a rest, West Indians cussing you everywhere. A Barbadian lady declare, for them Harris and Cave and leave them there. Or you take a rest, hand over the bowling to Roberts and Holden. Or you take a rest. The board must answer to somebody, maybe Gypsy or Super Blue. A Kaiso man would give them tempo and tell them what to do. The players confused, the sponsors too. We build big stadiums for what? We don't have people to fill them up. Look out when they start to rot. The whole region is crying out, close down the Papi show. All you come like a bad headache, we just want you to go. Don't waste me time with no committee, don't waste no more, they just sell money. Close the door, give me Chell the key, or you take a rest. You make one move, that is the cream. You pick a captain, not on the team. What all you're smoking, it must be green. Or you take a rest. If Patwa they say, may take or suck a supote. The West Indies board could not arrange to put 3 men on a plane. They fire a captain, hire him back, then fire the man again. The Guyanese will tell you by this board lass in the bush. They don't want to resign, they need a little push. Let me put up signs all over the region, north and south, east and west. A simple message, 4 words, or you take a rest. Put that sign up on every door, Kingston, Bridgetown and Beausejour. A direct message they can't ignore, or you take a rest. Print it big on your car or truck, every building and aqueduct. Shame them into leaving the work, or you take a rest. Just lock up the office and hand me the keys, or you take a use the sponsors too. We build big stadiums for what? We don't have people to fill them up. Look out when they start to rot. The whole region is crying out, close down the Papi show. All you come like a bad headache. We just want you to go. Don't waste me time with no committee. Don't waste no more, you just send money. Close the door, give Mitchell the key. All you take a rest. You make one move, that is the cream. You pick a captain, not on the team. What all you smoking, it must be green. All you take a rest. It's not what they say, may take or suck. A sukote. The West Indies board could not arrange to put 3 men on a plane. They fire captain, hire him back, then fire the man again. The Guyanese will tell you by this poor lass in the bush. They don't want to resign, they need a little push. Let me put up signs all over the region, north and south, east and west. A simple message, 4 words, or you take a rest. Put a sign up on every door, Kingston, Bridgetown and Beausejour. A direct message they can't ignore, or you take a rest. Print it big on your car or truck, every building and aqueduct. Shame them into leaving the work, or you take a rest. Just lock up the office and hand me the keys, or you take a rest. Find out a workman, I begging you please, or you take a rest. You run the cricket ship on the rocks, or you take a rest. You make a rasta cut off the locks, or you take a rest.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of West Indies Cricket 101. Dave Martins in the Trade Winds passed away recently. All you take a rest. Very keen on cricket as we West Indians all keen. But there's a relationship between cricket and music. There are numerous calypsos on cricket. And Dave Martins, of course, All You Take a Rest, and he sang Upan Chandra Paul and Cricket in the Jungle. Somebody requested that I play Cricket in the Jungle today, but I chose to play All You Take a Rest. Really a commentary there on the frustration with the management of West Indies cricket, and of course, Dave Martin expressing it in his way. Dave had a keen ear, and I think perhaps only Sparrow comes close to him in terms of expressing the different West Indian songs. And by songs, I mean here our languages, because they are languages. There's the West Indian language, and then there are the different sub-languages, if you will. And I think Dave Martin doesn't have his equal in terms of being able to express the Bajan and the Trinidadian and the Guyanese and so forth. Perhaps only Sparrow comes close to expressing that in song. Clearly a loss to our cultural expression, but the body of work is there. All You Take a Rest. Somebody's just texted me and said, Dr. Hines, the match is going on. And I know the match is going on, and it's delicately poised at the moment, and so everybody would be glued to that. But we promised Basil Butcher Jr. that we will do the show early today. We weren't going to do the 7 o'clock because he has a 7 o'clock appointment. So you all don't blame me for coming on. You all got to blame Basil. that we're on while the match is on, and it is delicately poised, but we'll make our way. We expect that in another 15-20 minutes it will be over one way or the other, and you all will join us. Let's bring in our guests tonight. Basil Butcher Jr., who you all will blame, and Don Cush. I guess it's cricket, so we have to say Don Holder. We dropped the Cush tonight. Don, good evening.
You're muted, Don.
We're not hearing you. You're muted.
Still muted.
We had a coach that played for Guyana.
Well, yes, we know.
We had a holder as an administrator, but the coach who played.
All right.
You double up.
Right. Them boys will say double dipping.
But David, I sent you a Dave Martin song on WhatsApp. I don't know if you saw it. The first time I ever heard of that song. Played Chandler Paul and Hooper.
Oh yeah. I had so many requests. Some people wanted to.
But I only heard it today.
Oh, you only heard it today? Okay.
For the first time, yeah.
Yeah. Some people
wanted. Have you ever heard that one?
Yes. I know.
I gotta hear it to see if I heard it.
I'll play it before the end of the program. But
Dr. Hines, the game looks like it's in the bag. We have them 1-4, the 4-for-7.
Yes, I noticed. I noticed Shamar just strike there.
Yes. So they could tune in. The game is in the bag.
In the bag?
Yeah, it looks like it's in the bag.
Don, let me because I want us to start off tonight with somebody saying a great program on Ron Kanai last week. Mm-hmm. This week Butcher's double at Trent Bridge and is 149 at Lord's. Also his mastery of Johnny Gleason in Australia. You all want to get Butcher's son going here tonight. We're gonna do a show on Butcher. You see,
I think
like this. We did a show on Lloyd, and then we did one on Kanai last week, and this person is saying a show on Butcher is,
of course, absolutely.
The newspaper headlines were butchery at Trent Bridge and Butcher Delights at Lord's. So, Basil Butcher Jr., you are not the only butchery.
Well, Dr. Hines, another wicket fell. So as I said,
another wicket just fell.
It's in the bag. Those lower order guys are capable of making the runs. The last guy that could bat yourself.
All right. So we are double dipping and we are double everything tonight because we are keeping an eye on the game while we keeping the program going. I want us to start on the theme of that Dave Martin's raised in that song, that calypso, and that is the management of West Indies cricket. He made reference there to the management of our cricket reminiscent of the old colonial days. I think making the point here that although we have changed, not much has changed in the management of our cricket. We recently had the minor embarrassment of the court ordering that the vice president was not properly elected. We then had, we now going to have an election in September, but the very person who was being challenged, is the only nominee.
So it's a fait accompli. The Dr. Hines, the only thing as we have the Learned Council online here tonight, what I would take away from that case is an interesting thing, and the Learned Council probably could speak to that a little bit, is that it seems that the courts could have jurisdiction on the West Indies Cricket Board on matters of governance, where we all have been crying out for governance change and transformation and all of that. And I'm wondering about that case. I asked another lawyer who had done cases with the West Indies Board because he had not heard about what had happened in India when the BCCI was taken to court, and the Supreme Court in India ruled that although cricket is being administered by a private entity, it is in the public good. Hence, the courts had jurisdiction, and as a result of the way cricket was being administered in India, they said there were a lot of things that needed to be fixed, and they appointed a 3-person committee to oversee BCCI's running of the cricket for a period of time when they were putting in place all the things. So for that period of time, for example, all expenditures had to be sent to this committee and all the various things. So with that precedence, I felt that maybe CARICOM or somebody should have taken CWI to court, because we have been the way in which West Indies Board is organized. It is not organized for professional sport in it, and when I say West Indies Board, I'm also extending this to all the territorial boards too. They are not, the way they are organized, in my view, they're not fit for the purpose of the landscape of international sport cricket, the way they're administered. You said something earlier about colonial. I feel we still manage cricket like when cricket was managed 17, 80, 90 years ago, except we put a few piecemeal things. It's like putting a lipstick on a pig, but it's pretty much the same culture and so on continues. It is not professional like everywhere else in the world.
Don, you follow the case?
Well, I heard about that. I just put it up again because I heard about the case. But you know, the BCCI is a such a strong body that they fight back with everything. I think they wanted some amendments to the judgment. The 2 most powerful officers, where the president and the secretary, should be allowed to serve 2 consecutive terms solely in the BCCI before the cooling off period began. Right? So even when the court gave the ruling, they're saying, look, we want these people to serve 2 terms, right? Until you start these recommendations you've come forward. But Basil, you talk about CARICOM. I mean, and the last time I was in the program, we spoke about all the reports that CARICOM had commissioned.
Correct.
You had the Patterson one, you had the one from the gentleman from St. Kitts, Wilkin, and then you had Professor Barito. I mean,
that was the CARICOM one.
Right. I'm saying, but if CARICOM is going to commission these things, I'm sure they have to pay a lot of money to these consultants. I mean, might as well they give me the money, let me do some consultancy. I'll give it to you or give it to anybody. I mean, having a powerful man like PJ Patterson come up with a report and then you don't do anything about it, that's disgraceful. Yeah. It's disgraceful. I mean, we've had our courts involved in cricket all the time, in the Guyana Cricket Board, all the time. I mean, it was almost at one page on a non-stop basis. And one of the things with that came out of that, and came out from the ICC, had a lot to do with there should be no political interference into cricket. Correct. But I don't know which part of the world they don't have political interference in cricket.
Right, because look, when I saw what happened with the BCCI, I mean, the judiciary is one of the branches of government, and there was not a peep from the ICC, because essentially for that period when that 3-person council, they were overseeing the running of cricket in India, right? Everything had to come through them, but we didn't have a peep. I guess the ICC would say, well, it's not direct government interference, i.e. the executive branches, the judiciary court, the judiciary branch, which, you know, in every country, once you operate in, you're under the laws of that country, right? And so
You
on.
should be.
Yes, right.
Right.
And that's why I say Gonzalez, when he was the chairman of the CARICOM committee, the cricket subcommittee, stated that they were working on some legislation that they would have had put into place in all the CARICOM countries.
Well, the harmonized legislation is something CARICOM intends to do with everything, right? So cricket was one of those things where all the countries, the legislation would be the same.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the drafters of the legislation will have to draft what the people tell them that they want.
Correct.
So,
And this many times has nothing to do with the cricketer. But it has to do with the board and what the board wants, and particularly if a government wants to have some level of control over cricket, because cricket is a money maker, right? I mean, cricket does a lot for your country in terms of exposure and so on. So almost any government, that's big deal to this, almost any government would want to have some say in terms of cricket. They would want to have their people in charge of the board and so on. They would also want to have their players selected to play on the cricket board. So when I heard the song this afternoon with Play, Chandipal, and Hooper, I was like, what the hell?
I mean, okay, so government involvement in cricket, we seem to be saying we don't want that. But when you leave the board,
involvement, David, the word they use is interference.
Interference, right. But the board left to its own on its own. I mean, it's a runaway train. So, are we saying that we should strike a balance between the traditional autonomy of the cricket board, but that they must do so within the context of the laws of the country? And so, isn't that what you're saying?
Yes,
yes, I would think so.
Yeah, that's what we say, is that the West Indies Cricket Board, for example, have been behaving like a country club. A law unto itself, right, is not answerable to nobody, despite they're messing up year after year after year, you know, dubious things they're doing, and there is no accountability. And that has been that is the essence, the big contradiction in West Indies cricket. And when I mean West Indies cricket, again, I'm talking from the ground all the way up to the board. There is no transparency. There is no accountability. Look, for example, you go to a board meeting, all 6 territories got 2 reps, right? And let's say Guyana, because we got to talk about Guyana because that's what we know most about. The constituency in Guyana, they see the agenda. They discuss and say, look, this is what Guyana's position on these issues. Now, if those 2 directors go to the meeting and play political games, and instead of following the dictates of whom they're representing and go away from that, what recourse would we have to hold them accountable? I say, for example, after the meeting, the minutes of the meeting should be distributed to all the constituents in Guyana. Barby's board, Demerara board, and Essequibo board. And they would filter it down accordingly to their membership. So the people on the ground could see what these guys are doing when they go to these board meetings, right? Because pretty much is a secret cabal going on up there, you know? So in my view, until we get that kind of accountability and transparency, we're not moving anywhere, because that will reflect in how they hire people for jobs on the board. There is no accountability. There is no transparency. You're hiring friends and family. How do you, for example, what metric is the Guyana board use, for example, to hold their coaches accountable? How do they evaluate their coaches? Right? I would love for those are things that me and you, the constituency, want to know. Because if we are not seeing our players improving, and you just paying these coaches year after year, what are they doing? Right? And so these are things, these are the questions that need to be asked by the constituents in Guyana, the various county boards, sub-associations, etc., to the Guyana board, for example. These are all, and similarly, that should be happening in Jamaica, in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, the Leeward Islands, the Windward Islands.
Don? Any
Yeah, actually, yeah, I got it inside. I was looking for some of the Hilbert Foster route.
Yes,
right?
I saw Hilbert
You
Foster.
saw it, right? I mean, and that kind of shook me up because I think he's very dedicated to the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And when the man says he wants nothing to do with the Barbies cricket board, it's sad.
Exactly.
Because I mean, those are the people who want to be involved at the board level.
Yeah, I mean, it was a recent post he did on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw the post there.
Yeah, I mean, he stepped down, and there have been several other cryptic posts that he has made along the same lines in regards to the people in the cricket in Guyana, etc. Because like the time when I had asked you, Don, when you were on the last time, I mean, common practice would be, all right, you got voted in. The Constitution said your term lasts 2 years. But in the midst of your 2 years, y'all changed the term length. But you get
That's right.
You are voted in for 2 years. You weren't voted in. So you end up giving yourself extra years without being voted in. What's supposed to happen is the next election, whomever wins will get the 4 years. And what's funny, nowhere else in the region do any of the boards, including West Indies board, that the president has a term.
4 years. 4 years. Absurd. That's an absurdity.
Exactly.
No way.
The West Indies board supposed to be leading and everybody follow. Not you gone ahead with 4 years. You know?
Yes. While we're chatting, the match is over. All out 149.
As I told you, we had this one in the bag.
Congratulations to the West Indies. We'll talk some more about the 2 matches that we've seen. There's still a third match on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. But we're talking here about the management of West Indies cricket, something that has really been in the headlines. I mean, I saw an interview that Sir Andy Roberts did years ago, in which he said if he were to write a book, a lot of people will get hurt.
Yeah, he tells me that personally when we chat.
Yes.
And you know something, Dr. Hines, this is one of the regrets I have with my dad when he passed, because my brother right after me is a writer because he's a school teacher. And my father had said he wanted to write a book from his playing days, administration, and he said a lot of people. But like he thought writing a book he can turn rich. I said, no, buddy. There's rarely people that write books like these and get big money, but he complained, and he won't get robbed. I said, boss, but he will rob you. You rarely make big money off of these books. You're not no best-selling writer like Stephen King and nobody like that, right? Because many things, I'm sorry he didn't, because my brother was willing, my brother was ready to, you know, to put the thing together. He'd given information, he write down and whatever, right? Because just like Andy Roberts, these guys were on the inside. And a lot of things we outside don't have a clue that this go on. I learned a few things because he told me, and we, you know, and so on. But it would make the hair on your back of your skin, on your neck stand up to know the nonsense that going on in West Indies cricket administration for years, right? And you
got to tickle Michael Holden, oh Lord.
Yeah, and we have been winning in spite of.
Yeah,
that's the part we've been winning.
But that is the problem, you know. That is the problem.
Yeah.
Right. If the West Indies board is so bad with all its difficulties, you really got to wonder how it is that the coach, right, and the manager could actually get this team to get this thing to win.
Yep. I mean, look, for example, right now, West Indies board voted and changed they have a new selection policy. We've been waiting now, probably close to a month, to hear the director of cricket come to the public and give us an explanation of how this new selection policy will function, how it works, the mechanics. We're still waiting. Now, this is not state secret. What's the big deal? What is it taking so long for you to come forward? Because I heard the president, when he revealed it on Mason's show several weeks ago, all right, at least a month ago, because it was funny, it was leaked out, and an English reporter challenged him on the policy, and he was backing up, the policy, and said the director of cricket will come on sooner rather than later to the press to give an explanation, and we are still awaiting that explanation, because you got a lady concerns, because when Caribbean people, we gonna hear that the coach picking the team, and we know how contentious selecting teams in the West Indies can be. To know you placing it in a one-man hand is something that you gotta really give us a proper explanation and rationalization as to why you would put such a contentious thing, and telling us how will you be holding the coach now accountable and so on for the selections.
For the selection and insularity has been one of
exactly.
Yeah, that's
and Basil, you were talking about the people in the Caribbean. What about a player? A player must have a high level of anxiety in a situation like that.
Now, suppose the player's relationship with the coach is not their best.
That's right. That's
correct.
But the player is a damn good player. Is the coach professional enough to separate not having a great relationship with what the player brings to the team and be professional? Because we all know we worked at jobs. We didn't like all our co-workers, but we were professional enough to do the job in spite of whatever feelings we had towards a co-worker or two, right? Now, are these coaches able to do the same thing?
Yeah. A friend of mine called me last night and was talking about the appearance of insularity that is going on right now, because you have Shallow from the Windwards, you have Bascom from the Windwards, you have Sammy from the Windwards.
Yeah.
You have Johnson Charles in the team.
Why? Yeah. What is he doing there?
Right. Attorney is now being fast tracked into the T20 team. He's not an opener, but he's been asked to open, and so the person is saying, well, it may not be insularity, but the appearance of insularity, and raise the question of who do you appeal to?
Right. I mean, look, for example, when Skerritt came into office, one of the things we started seeing for the first time on regularly, every time a West Indies team got selected, the lead selector came before, had a press conference, and the press was able to now engage as to the rationale of the picks. Well, since the team that was selected to England, the last team that there was a press conference was the World Cup team. Since we've had the team to England selected, the team against South Africa selected, both teams against South Africa selected. We have had women's team selected, under 19 women's team selected, and there's no interaction with the press.
There is no interaction with the press. Good evening.
But I guess it's the level of arrogance. When you name the team, that's when you're gonna know.
Yeah. But the question is accountability. Who are they accountable to?
Themselves.
Yeah, and this is the problem. This is the problem, I think, with our cricket. As much as we do not want to see interference by the politicians, right? There must be some oversight. And my own view is that I prefer a CARICOM oversight rather than the oversight of the governments.
Yeah.
You see, because I think there should be oversight.
Yeah. I mean, we had there was this meeting in Trinidad that Rowley called,
Yes.
and you had all the constituents, a lot of nice talks. I was very happy to see PM Motley ups the president of the board, Shallow, that she said to him, Dr. Shallow, you know, I backed you from the first, but you should not be involved in hiring coach, because that's not your expertise. You should be involved in hiring nobody in cricket. Leave that to the experts who understand what those roles actually need to be.
Absolutely.
Right? And I agreed with her 100%, because all the respect, I like Dr. Shallow, but I heard him make some comments in relationship to things that when he was rationalizing Sammy's selection as coach. I made some comments and I was like, really, Dr. Shallow? You got to be kidding me. Because you really haven't spoken to coaches who have been certified, saying that only because Sammy played at the level a certified coach would not bring up these things. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, you know, because if you know anything about the curriculum of what coaches that get trained to coach elite teams, you would not have said that.
Said that. Let's pivot, because we'll have to close on time tonight. Let's pivot to a review of the two T20s that we saw this week. One day before yesterday and the one today. West Indies won both of them. Let's start with what have they done right, Basil?
Look, one thing, this is a full strength West Indies team that's playing, right? So I'm playing against the South Africa is trying to do what we would hope West Indies would have started to do. South Africa are exposing some players that are now coming into the international game, because they are looking to build their pool of players looking towards the 2026 World Cup. So you can see guys like the Millers, the Klaasens, Rabada, Janssen, Norkea. None of those guys are in the team, right? And neither is the opening batsman, De Kock, right? I just call it six world-class players, right? None of them are playing. So South Africa, you know, we have comprehensively beaten them in both games, which is wonderful for West Indies cricket. But it is not a measure as to where we are. It's good now you see Joseph getting some exposure in the international game. But of all the players on the team, Joseph and Atenes are the two new guys, so to speak, that are getting exposure here, which is great for us as we build our pool, also looking towards 2026, right? So I look at it in that context, that, you know, we did what we had to do, comprehensively beat them. But Atenes has shown signs. He did a decent job in both games. Joseph has done a decent job thus far. And we will see as they progress, you know. But we put it in context. This is not the strongest South African team.
The strongest South African team.
Well, so actually, South Africa described their team as an experimental team.
Yes,
right? That's the word they actually use.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And then Sammy was saying, you know, we have to continuously evolve and improve to be a championship winning team, right? And not just a series winning team, right? And I have to agree with him with that, right? And
yes,
you know, talking about in terms of the players, you have to be able, you could find different opposition and be able to come up with the goods every game.
Yes.
Right? Regardless if you're playing against South Africa, playing Sri Lanka, who you're playing against. You must be able to come up against them. Not because it's an experimental South African team.
You still got to get the job done.
That's
Yeah.
correct. It's still got to get it done because
Yeah.
that is always my concern, right? And it's like when I heard Craig Buffett talking after the test, right? And he was saying, they really have a problem in terms of like the lower order always tends to disappoint, and then he says he can't blame the bowlers at all, right?
No.
Because they really, really did a good job.
Yep.
But he was very, very frank in terms of the team not having what the team needs. I'm saying, here's the captain talking. Who is listening to him? Me?
Yeah. Well, that testing, I mean, we are almost full strength in terms of the T20.
Yes.
I mean, Russell is not playing, Holder is not playing. I doubt whether Holder would be a first choice
Yeah,
in
that's
in,
true.
in this
Yeah.
team. So we are almost full strength.
Correct.
But
Correct.
in test cricket, we are not even half strength. When you have
Yeah.
Well,
when you have the hopes
actually, Dr. Hines, we are full strength, but that's the best we got.
but
And
I'm
No,
saying,
the only thing I would say, I wanted to think I would add in terms of test team, I feel that Chase should be in the test team.
yeah,
Because it is not, it doesn't make sense to have such an inexperienced middle order. Look, Sri Lanka's playing England right now. And one of the vast differences you could see between Sri Lanka and the West Indies is their middle order batting. They're more experienced because I remember here a stat. The lady said in Sri Lanka's top 6, you add up the test centuries, they have 71. 71.
what?
I don't
Yes.
think you add up all the West Indies test hundreds, we get to 20.
you get to 20.
So that just tells you the vast difference in terms of the expertise that we have at our test level. And I think oftentimes we as fans have too much expectations, not matching the reality on the field, and get all gutted and hurt and so on. But if we really look at the reality on the field, the expectations, we would have to temper expectations, especially in the longest format of the game.
But I would like to ask you. I would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
You think that this is the end now of Shimron Hetmyer?
No, here. I always say this about Hetmyer. His fans and so on would like to blame everybody else but Hetmyer. I blame Hetmyer for his position. He's the sole person to blame. Hetmyer, for one, on the fitness level, you're an elite athlete. If Hetmyer was playing in some other countries, he would not even be called for the international team with the fitness levels that he's in. That's one count. Hetmyer, and this is, I said this to you guys before. West Indies were going to South Africa, right? And Hetmyer made himself unavailable. Now, South Africa was the last ODI series we were going to play before the World Cup qualifies in the 50 over, if you remember, right? Yeah. Now, you have been out of the ODI team for a while. And because, if memory serves me correct, the last time he was in the ODI team, he withdrew because his wife's aunt died, if you remember, right? When they headed to Barbados against New Zealand, he was in that team. He withdrew. So he hadn't played ODI cricket. We got the World Cup qualifiers on the horizon. And the last time we're going to play, this is your shot to show to the selectors, I am still a serious contender. You make yourself unavailable. And then when you're not selected for the World Cup qualifiers, you see your wife put some cryptic thing on social media as to your non-selection. And then you hear some of the fans say, oh, that Maya getting wrong. I said, you can't blame the board. I'm a cricketer. I out of the team. I got a chance to play, to prove to the selectors I got to be in contention. And I tell them I ain't playing. And then when they pick the team, I ain't get picked and I ain't going to be vexed. No.
But
right?
I guess we probably gotta try hard to get into the test team. Because I don't know if we can get into the T20 team.
Well, the test team. Well, that means he gotta come and play 4 day
4 day
cricket for
cricket. Yeah,
Guyana.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we haven't seen Hetmai in white clothes play for Guyana in a long time. I
You,
That
wonder
you,
if
could
he could.
change.
but let me
That could
ask
change.
let me ask you all this. Let me ask you all this because it's something that I've been observing and thinking about. So you pick an original team and somebody gets injured or drop out and you bring in a replacement. And the replacement plays in front of somebody who was in the squad before.
Mhm.
What's going on there? You all help me
Oh,
make sense.
are you talking in terms of mayors coming in the World Cup?
Mayors coming in,
No,
um, and
well,
now you have Atenes coming in,
well,
and they're all playing in front of Etmai, who's been in the squad.
well.
Talk to me.
Remember, the roles they got picked for is not
Yes.
the roles that Hetmaya plays. So it's simple as that. There's
Uh-huh.
one. I told those guys when I saw Atnes in the team, I said to guys, I said, I will bet you Atnes will be opening the batting. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not coming to this team to bat in the middle order because when you look at the middle order, Puran, Chase, the captain, and Rutherford. Of the 4, 3 of them performed in the World Cup. The captain didn't do nothing, right? And that's why I said to Hetmaya fans, the captain is the man that keeping Hetmaya out of this lineup. And if he didn't have captain next to his name, Hetmaya would have played in the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't do nothing in the World Cup, the captain. He kept playing because he's captain, right? So,
But you can be a non-playing captain too.
yeah,
like your boy Sammy.
yeah, right.
You can be a non-playing captain.
Yeah, because Dr. Hines is not a big deal with those guys coming into the squad. Had they brought in a middle order batsman into the squad and played in front of Hetmai, who was already there, and to tell you the truth, with this last game, I would hope Hetmai gets to play because it don't make no sense. You got to sit down in cold storage. And
Exactly. Because I'm saying
you
his
want to
whole
see
psychological thing must be affected now.
you want to see how Hetmai gonna look. You won the series, right? You gotta this is a dead rubber now. I
Yeah.
think for the other guys who didn't play, you need to give them a run out in this game.
Yeah.
Other guys on the bench, some of them, give them a run out in this game, Hetmai included, because you want to see, me as a coach, I would want to see where is Hetmai. Let me see where is he in the international game, because he didn't have a good IPL. He went to the 100. He didn't have a good 100, right? I want to see where is he at because it don't make sense. I walk with Hetmai everywhere we go, and I don't know. I don't know what he has to offer.
That's right.
We know of what he's done in the past, but we got to deal in the moment.
What I was surprised that they didn't start with McCoy.
Yeah.
Y'all talk to me about that. I mean,
Well,
Ford came in. I know Sammy likes Ford,
yeah.
right? Ford does well in the first match.
Mm-hmm.
This match he went.
No, not today. Well,
today he went for a lot in the.
Yeah,
in the
I think what happened to Ford surprised the South African guys. They never seen him before, right? They saw him already, and now they gotta hang as to what he does. Ford is not. I don't rate Ford. I said that on a major radio station. I don't rate Ford. That's a Sammy guy, and in my view, Ford would only look good in conditions that may be helpful. But you catch Ford in a good wicket, it's gonna be the cleaners.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you keep saying all the time, it's Sammy friend, it's Sammy, and that's exactly the problem that we have.
Sammy, I will argue this. Ford is a Sammy pick because Ford plays for the CPL team that Sammy coaches, right? He got some decent CPLs, but not something that I would jump overboard to say, oh, we got to bring this guy and bring him the team. I think they got in my view, we got other guys who go quicker around in the Caribbean, young guys
Yeah.
than looking at food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
There was a youngster. I mean, there was a youngster from Barbados. I asked my Bajan friends today, what has happened to Ramon Simmons? You remember
Yes.
2 years ago, Ramon Simmons light up the CPL, and now we can't hear about Ramon Simmons again.
Like the one hit wonder.
Yeah, you know,
And there are so many like that.
yeah, we gotta stop. And you tell me this one in wonder. I said me and some friends had a discussion today. I was telling me this whole fast tracking, looking at past players and so on. Somebody was intimating like Sarwan was fast track. I said no. Sarwan was earmarked as a youngster to play for West Indies, and he was given every opportunity. But Sarwan played over 30 first-class games before he gets into the team because he had to make runs, right? Another man wanted to say Chandapal. I said, no. Chandapal played 2 years first class. And
Yeah.
and a game in the year prior, right? To get into the team. Not fast track. But what I would say, because of the standard of our, from a test cricket perspective, I'm talking now, the standard of our first class cricket, I would not pick no player directly from our first class cricket into the West Indies test team. They will have to go through the 18 process and perform well there before they go. Look, Mikael Louis, Louis. This was my opinion when he make runs, and some men jumped down me throat. I said, 18, well done, young Louis. You come in first class, you make runs, you're going to be 18, not test team. Men said, no. Right? All those flaws we see with Louis. And one of my concerns with Louis when I saw him was that he had no back foot game. And if you open him batsman, you got no back foot game, that's gonna be a problem, right? We saw what happened to Louis. Now, had Louis gone through the 18, those things would have been picked up because he would have reached up against higher caliber competition. Those things would have stuck out. And then he would then know he have to go and correct these things and show again at that level that he can score. And then once we see that, all right, he comes into the test team and would look like how a guy like Smith from England that just walked into the team, Jamie Smith, look like Jamie Smith been playing test cricket for 5 years. There's no daring headlight. He is prepared because he has ticked off all the relevant boxes. And that's what we have to do. We cannot we put these guys into the international level and hoping and praying.
No, but at least Joseph and Sinclair came to the West Indies team, right? And
they both did. They both performed at the A-team level. Got into the test team. But I remember several years ago, South Africa, because the level of their first class dropped. And we know now today, first class to the test level it's a big leap. But if you tick off the boxes, the proverbial boxes, in terms of the skill set required and the temperament and those things, when you get into the test arena, you wouldn't look like a deer in headlights. There's a guy from South Africa, Bedingham is a guy. Bedingham played for several years first class. He was a co-pack player when they had the thing. He went away to England. And then when this co-pack thing ended, he returned to play for South Africa. We saw Bedingham in his first test against India, one of the best bowling attacks in the world on, South African conditions, and looked like a guy who had played test cricket for several years, right? Made a 50 on debut, went to New Zealand with his second team, made 180, right? Because as soon as you see Bedingham, you could see this is a guy know what he's about. There's no, I saw Bedingham play against our A team. He didn't make many runs, but when I saw how he just batted, I said, this guy, I never see this guy before. South Africa, they got a good one here. You could see the approach and the way he played that this guy could be a serious player at this level. And so far, he has shown that.
So what happened to people like Jerome Taylor? And so they play no role in West Indies cricket any longer?
I seen Jerome playing Masters cricket, making some nice money. No, well, here that is on Jerome is a Jamaican. He lives in Jamaica. That's incumbent of the Jamaican Cricket Association, etc., to get these guys to see if they want to be involved and put them in places where they can be involved, because those guys have a lot to offer. Especially, they don't have to be at the West Indies level. They can be with the youngsters and inculcating those values and those things to the youngsters as early as possible. Those are the things those youngsters need to learn about tactics and all of that early, so they learn their games. And that's where those former players play such a huge role. It helps to accelerate your development, right? And West Indies cricket, for the life of me, have not been able to figure out how to position people of that ilk, the Roberts, the Richards, etc., how they could use them for the best of West Indies cricket. Everybody want them talk about them involved at the highest level. No, they don't have to be. They can be involved at the lower levels, because they will help to expedite, facilitate the development of these youngsters coming through, because they will be helping them with the tactic, the mental part. And that is the part in our cricket where our guys are most deficient.
Basil Butcher Jr. done hold the Cush. It's past our time. And we have to be punctual this week, because Mr. Butcher has another appointment. So we will leave him.
Maybe so you have to make a phone call to Shimron.
Oh, well, what you need to do is get me Shimron's number. I don't have
I will do that.
Yes.
I'm a Shimron fan, as Basil.
No, here.
Very well.
I like Young Hetmeyer. I like Young Hetmeyer, but I think Young Hetmeyer needs to get his house in order, proverbial house in order, to be the best he can be. And right now, I don't think he is the best he could be. That's all I'm saying. There's no criticism of, people talk about all the different things off field. I don't care about that. I look at Hetmeyer only as a cricketer. And one of the things I'm most disappointed with Hetmeyer is this let go of his fitness. Because I don't know if he would remember, but we met back in Florida like 8 years ago or something like that. And that was the time when he had a scrubbing board.
Yes.
That was against New Zealand?
No, he came with the CPL team. We were on the 19 guy in 2016, because he was in a circle with us talking. I was with Barnwell, the guys in Ghana, and he was there. And I remember my youngest brother came over, and he said, who is this guy? I said, wait, you don't recognize our on the 19 World Cup captain? And Hetmeyer smiled. But we never told him. We didn't tell him who we were, because he knows my father, he knew my father, but we didn't tell him who we were, I like Hetmeyer. I just think that his fans get a little delusional at times.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. See you all next week. Don, see you next week. Victor
Right.
should be on
7 p.m. Yes.
At 7. At 7 next week.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
And where's Vincent Adams?
He's in England. He's in England attending.
He's in England. He should be back with us next week.
Yes. His wife's sister passed. Yes.
Right. Oh my. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
So be safe and have a good week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here come the West Indies. I tell you now, here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here come